everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop on Huge Pop Entertainment, with my boy Rudy Gonzalez. Tonight, we are blessed to have a professional wrestler who has performed in Diamond Championship Wrestling in various roles, including a wrestler, a manager, a cameraman, security. He's known for the nickname, the Blood Diamond of Professional Wrestling and Hollywood Worm. Welcome to the show, Walter Alexander. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Pleasure to be on the show. I mean, when I saw the post go out that Mr. Rudy said that they were looking for people, I said, well, the least I could do is at least reach out and see if they tell me, hey, let's come on, or that's okay. But you never know until you try. So here I am.
Well, I thank you for that because Rudy and I have had many talks, and see, there's a lot of podcast guys out there, content creators, reactors, reviewers, and they're always viewing WWE, AEW, TNA,
Hmm.
ROH, and I have nothing against those guys. Matter of fact, I'm a big Raw guy, whatever. But
Oh yeah.
everybody's doing that, right? And Rudy and I have agreed that, we're forgetting somebody. We're forgetting the indie guys, the guys that are starting out,
Yep.
the guys that have been in the indie business for a while, the legends. And that's Rudy and I's goal for our Monday night show is to give you guys the platform to launch your career. I'm not saying the Huge Pop Entertainment podcast is the best to get you there, but you know what? We put out some damn good stuff. Rudy and I have some great questions, and you're on it for your first podcast ever, and we're gonna make this day a good one. So my first question, man, you don't look very old, so let me ask you, what's it like? What was it like growing up as a wrestling fan?
So that's a really good question because a lot of people that I've talked to, and I've done some interviews with myself, that they always talk about the Attitude Era, or in some cases, people talk about as far back as early '90s with WCW and the WWF and Jim Crockett when that was still a thing. But I started, a lot of people would say, in the trenches of watching 2000 to probably about from 2010 to 2018 is where I watched it, kind of at a some people say it was a low point for wrestling. I don't agree with that because for me, that was my peak of wrestling. That was my first exposure to people like Cody Rhodes when he was getting started in his groove at that time. Seeing Randy Orton, Christian Cage, I should say, Edge, Dolph Ziggler. It's a point to say because I realized I think one of the first episodes I ever watched was when I because I watched it a little bit in 2010 about, I would say, the Rey Mysterio Kane feud. To then I stopped watching it, and then I came back to it right as Edge retired, and now I got to see Edge come back and wrestle. So that's about as long as I've been a wrestling fan.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Rudy.
You know what I like about these young guys is that, like when I was running Sean's wrestling school, they would knock out matches, dates, pay-per-views, whatever it was, and they would, they knew when Rey Mysterio wrestled Eddie Guerrero, what date it was, WCW, WWE. I mean, they knew all that stuff. I had no idea, and to this day, I don't. I've been in wrestling all since I got out of high school, basically. But as far as dates like that are concerned, I have no clue. So when he comes up here and starts, talking about Edge retiring and stuff, I don't know when that happened. I know it happened a while back, but that's how the kids are nowadays. They were fans first before they became wrestlers. Me, I was just a guy out of high school trying to find, trying to find my way. And
Yeah.
I stumbled into wrestling. I didn't know the history of wrestling, and so I appreciate these younger guys in that respect, and that they know the business. They know a different part of it than what I did, and they know the history. And there's a lot of kids out there that don't, and that's a shame
Right.
also. So I mean, I appreciate that, man, and I'm glad that you have that knowledge.
Oh yeah, I know. A lot of people, when I talk to them about the knowledge that I have in wrestling, a lot of people will come to me and be like, "Hey, what happened on this day?" And I'm like, sometimes I'll know, sometimes I won't know because I've tried to study pretty much as far back as I'd say my knowledge is as far back as would say world class championship wrestling to probably, to the modern day, but I know like world class, Jim Crockett, NWA, New Japan, All Japan, Noah, TNA, Ring of Honor, CZW, WWE, WWF. Like I it's kind of like I have a bunch of files up there. They're not organized, but I know something if somebody asks.
Right. So I have a question for you, man. You got into the business at, I think you said 2018. Where did you go for training school, and how did that happen for you? Did you just wake up one day and go, yeah, I'm going to be a wrestler? What happened?
So when watching wrestling, my dad took me when they came to because I live in Mobile, Alabama. They took me to the auditorium down here, and it was a WWE live event. We went to it, had a good time. A couple weeks later, he goes, "Hey, there's a little indie show running down in Bayou Battery. Let's go watch it." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I went down there, watched it. I had a blast. It was first time I ever seen an indie show because I knew about independent wrestling, but I didn't really I was not in the local area. But I started, following them on Facebook and following them. It was Diamond Championship Wrestling, funnily enough. That was the company that I first saw on the indies. And I started writing these little reviews for the shows because they used to do episodes on their Facebook and, just kind of writing reviews, writing, this is what happened. This is what I rate the match, just something because I'm, 18, just trying to, enjoy it the way I want to enjoy it. And I feel like other people could enjoy it. And one thing kind of snowballed from there. And they were like, well, here, come check out the shows. We'll, take care of you, blah, 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 blah. And I started going to just show after show after show, which was early days of what was called Alabama Wrestling Alliance, Alabama Wrestling Federation, Revolt Pro Wrestling. And that's really the first couple of ones I went to. And then I started getting into the training of it with my first trainer. His name was Richard Bailey, Mountain Man Richard Bailey. He's since passed away. God bless him. He was Mountain of a Man, literally the name Mountain Man. But trained with him. Had my first show at just 7 years ago, September 29th, I believe. That was my first show. It was a rinky dink battle royal. And I've been hooked ever since. I've been, people say it's a bug. Once it's got a hold of you, it just doesn't go away. And it's so true.
Awesome. Rudy, first, before I ask Rudy, you got a friend on the show, Mr. John Saxon. Mr. John Saxon, if you're still watching, I am now in the role of asking questions, right? I am the guy, the researcher. And he made the statement, you got this, Rudy, you got this, I see the Steelers towel. Mr. John Saxon says he wants to tell you that. So he likes your Steelers towel. So, Rudy, you got any questions?
I just watched it the other day. No, really. First of all, before we go any further, I'd like to offer my condolences to Bobby Horn, who was known in the WWE world as Sir Mo of Men on a Mission.
Yes.
He passed away last night. Good man. I worked with him a couple of times. He invited me down for a clinic a few years ago. It was me, Bobby, and Ron Simmons, and I know he trained kids up in the Dallas area. I know he affected a lot of lives up in that part of the state. So I just like to offer my condolences to his family. Everybody involved. Denise, his wife Denise Jones. Good people. She's a nice lady. I met her a few times when I was going up there. I know it's hard for everybody, because he did touch a lot of lives. But rest in peace, Bobby. We're all praying for you, and I think everything will work its way out. But back to the podcast. Um, when you were starting, when you were training, what was your training like? A typical day. What was a typical day like?
Well, a lot of cardio to start out. They would make us run ropes, X amount of times, like sometimes 15, sometimes 20, just to get you know, the rhythm of everything and to test how your cardio was and also to test, what your footing was. And start up with chain wrestling, chain wrestle for probably a good 30 minutes and then taking some bumps with some moves like, basically scoop slam, body slam, suplex. It was very basic training and a lot of it wasn't done by Richard. It was done by two of his students, which they are fantastic workers themselves. But it was very basic. Like to start out, I think it would be. I tell people, I wouldn't want to stay in there for like 5 years, but for like a year, maybe a year and a half, it would have been a good training for somebody to get used to it before they moved up to like intermediate or even advanced.
Right, right. I tell my guys, um, a year, a couple of years, you can stick around, but if you really want to do something, you got to get out there. You have to, and that's really the purpose of this whole podcast thing was when Scott asked me to help him out. Um, what really caught my attention, what really caught my eye was the fact that he wanted to expose the independent wrestling guys. Um, Not so much, I don't know how many podcasts Raven has done. I don't know how many podcasts uh, some of the other guys have done, but they've done a few, and
Right.
but the true heart and soul of pro wrestling, honestly, in my opinion, is the independent scene. If there was no independent wrestling, there'd be no AEW, there'd be no WWE. Uh, they would guys would wrestle and they'd go to trip Mexico and do their thing, whatever. I mean, the way WWE got started, the story goes is Vince just picked all the top names from all the territories and put them all into one federation. Which at that time it was like, holy cow, I get to see Hulk Hogan wrestle Andre the Giant, which
Right.
we really didn't see on a wide level. Here in Texas, there was the sheep herders, and one day they're here, the next day you see them on TV, the bushwhackers, and they're
Yep.
against some guys called the British Bulldogs, and you're like, holy cow. Um, so up to a point, it was very cool what WWF was doing, what Vince McMahon was doing. But now it's like guys are happy being at the independent level because they are the neighborhood heroes or what have you, which is fine. But there's a whole lot more to pro wrestling than wrestling in your local VFW every Saturday, you know. And
Right.
I just think guys don't take advantage of that enough. So on my end, I'll tell guys leave. You got to go. It's not because I don't like them. It's because they have potential and they have the ability and they can make money. They can draw other places. But it's like when you move out of your mom and dad's house, you really don't want to, but you have to. And a lot of these
Right.
guys, they really don't want to, but they know they have to and they should. So, I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad you're on here. I know in the future we're gonna have more independent guys, and girls. And I guess my next question is favorite wrestlers.
Ooh. I have a lot when it comes to both tag and singles. I mean, first person I saw that really made me want to be a wrestler was Rey Mysterio. And I think it was more the underdog overcoming everything, and that really reached out to me. And then learning more about wrestling and learning about what I liked about wrestling and what kind of wrestling I liked. Bret Hart, the Hart Foundation, any of the Harts, always enjoyed watching any of their matches, especially Bret and Owen. The technical ability always speaks out to me. I like just watching. Like I said, I'm really big on chain wrestling and watching it. So any Bret Hart, like the Bret and Owen matches, or Bret and Piper, Bret and Bulldog, I think those matches are some of my favorite for those reasons. And for like more newish kind of wrestling, I've been a real big fan since I first learned about him of AJ Styles. I think he is one of the top, still one of the top performers to this day. As well as I'm a big fan, and I know it kind of gets, especially nowadays, but I'm still a big fan of Chris Jericho. I think the way the man can reinvent himself and play off of even the negatives that maybe that character has at the moment, he can still play off of it and get as much out of it. And when it comes to tag wrestling, I'm real big on, and I've met him before, the Rock and Roll Express. I'm way big on the Midnight Express, Jim Cornette especially, as well as Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. Just really big into that, like that kind of tag team wrestling where you watch. I was just watching. I think it was Jim Cornette, and I think it was maybe the Valiant, or no, I can't remember who exactly it was. Somebody would have to correct me, but threw a fireball in the guy's face. His brother comes out, who his brother is on the opposite team, as they would say, and he's checking on him. Finally, he just storms into the locker room, and that's what I really miss about today's wrestling is I don't think a lot of wrestling has that sort of aura to it that where it feels like, man, these guys are trying to kill each other. And that's what I loved about the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express, especially facing each other, because you would be like, one of these guys is going to get seriously hurt because the other guy's trying to hurt him.
Absolutely. So you made a great point, man, because when I fell in love with independent wrestling, I before probably 4 years ago, I was a huge WCW, WWE guy. Watched the mainstream. Never went to an indie show. This day, applaud to you as a performer. I had the opportunity to go. This last week's flyer, but I had an opportunity to go to XIW Extreme Impact Wrestling, and over here in Panama City Beach, I took the chance to take an hour and 45-minute drive 4 years ago. Took some kids with me, and you said it. It was larger than life. It was in your face. It made you feel like this shit was real.
Right.
You can watch it on TV. You can see the misses. You can see all the mistakes. These professionals that are making millions or whatever they make, and they don't make it look as real as you guys do. So my hat goes off to you because of that. You make us feel like it's really real fight. XIW's hashtag is real fight shit.
Right.
You guys hold nothing back, man.
I see. I saw on the flyer that a couple people that I know and I have been in the ring with myself, Lucha Lacora and Zane Stevens. Shout out to those guys because I've been in the ring with them. You want to talk about intensity? Both of those men, probably the most intense people that I have ever been in the ring with, and to be able to have been in a 6-man tag with them was probably one of the most surreal experiences. And it made me feel, like I said, it made me feel the aura of wrestling that I think it had been lost for a long time.
Yeah, he was. Lucha Lacora was in a singles match this week. I was probably sitting. My camera. I did some feed. I'll put it up to probably by tomorrow. I did a live broadcast from there. The slaps to the chest. Hell.
Oh yeah.
They sound bad. They sound like they're hurt. I don't know, but the realness of it, you know. And in that picture was a legend like from Tennessee, Damian Wayne. Another guy is a bigger name is Jackson Slade, you know, and John Saxon. He's on the chat, you know. So my question was, I say that to say this: as a, I don't want to call you a newbie, but as a younger guy in the business, when you go to a show like DCW or another promotion that you were with, you go in the back of the locker room and you sit amongst these guys that have been in the business for a while. How important is it for you as a young kid or a young guy in this business to sit down and pay attention to what they're talking?
Extremely important. That's what I noticed that a lot of, I've only been wrestling for about 2.5 years. I've been in it since 2018. And even when I wasn't wrestling, I would still sit down with people who had been in it, from as small as 5 years to as long as some guys 25 years, and take up and soak up as much information as I could. Really good example of it, my friend Chris Black. He's been in it for about 25 years. And even when I wasn't wrestling, I would go to him and be like, hey, why do you do that instead of doing this? And he would be like, it's because this equals that. And it's almost like, in a weird way, it's like math, X equals Y, 1 plus 1 equals 2. But sometimes I'd be like, hey, why'd you do it like that instead of doing it like this? And he goes, oh man, I didn't think about that. That's a good idea. And it really shows that it's always important to keep learning, because I just taught him something and he's been in it 25 years. He'll teach me more than I'll ever probably know in this business, but that's not the only person either. And I've learned from so many, including Marcel Pringle, former tag partner of Percy Pringle, my current trainer, Super Kick Scott Armstrong, son of one of the most legendary families in the professional wrestling world. Locally, another wrestler named Josh Payne, who was trained by Marcel Pringle, Percy Pringle, Adrian Street. So if anybody's, or if you're in the area or in any of your areas and you have somebody like that who has been wrestling for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, 30 years, and it don't matter to me if they've been on television, if they've only been a journeyman. Go to that person and sit down and be like, hey, can I pick your brain? Because what you'll learn from them as a young wrestler will impact you for the rest of your career.
Yeah, 100%. Rudy.
No, you're right. You're exactly right. Did you know Francisco Ciazzo?
Francisco Ciazzo.
Yeah.
I don't believe I did.
That's a legend in itself, man.
He was in the Clearwater area. He was, Francisco's a good dude. He passed away actually a couple of years ago now. It's going to be a couple of years in January. Good dude, man. But he was full of knowledge. I mean, very smart guy. He was trained, when you said Adrian Street, I was like, oh shit. But he was trained by Adrian Street. Always helped guys out whenever they asked. Even when they didn't ask. You're exactly right. Anytime you can help out the younger guys, by all means. Whenever the younger guys are in the presence of, an older guy, a veteran, don't be afraid to ask questions. A lot of guys I know that are in my age group have no problem, giving their advice, and they'll give their advice whether you ask for it or not anyway. But it's always a good idea to try and find other ways to do things. I mean, you'll be surprised. Back when I started, our learning was in the cars after the wrestling shows. Today it's in the dressing room, because in the cars the guys just put in their ear pods and listen to their music or whatever, go to sleep. So whenever like I said, whenever you get a chance in the dressing rooms to ask questions to an older guy, then ask. I mean, you're always trying to get better.
Right.
Funny story about Francisco Ciazzo. Sorry, but you brought this up. He is he was a he had like a what do you call it? I don't want to say a thug, but he was a bad dude, man. His character was a bad dude, you know. And I had him on the show, and I asked him. I said his name. I said Francisco something or other. He about lost it on me in character, and I'm like, oh fuck. I was like, I'm so sorry, dude. And as he's walking, he goes, dude, don't worry about it. That was so funny. So Adrian Whispers on the show, and you know I love when people come on the show. Okay, first of all, we're gonna give a shout out. One of Rudy's guys, Jalen Stewart. He says shout out to Huge Pop. Thank you, Jalen. My boy Adrian Whisper. Thank you, my guy. Thank you. He gave me the name, the Pod God. You know, so I'm gonna steal a question. I got a question. Adrian Whisper is gonna ask this question, so I'm gonna ask it for you. This is your first podcast. How important it is to you? What do you think about staying in character when you're doing something like this? Are you who you really are and at the ring, or is there a character style that you go with?
Well, the one thing I've always been told since I've got in this business is take yourself and turn it up to 11, and I feel I do that very well, and that's been pretty much drilled into our head from Scott Armstrong, because you go to a lot of these independent shows, and as they say, the heels will be out there selling merch, and I don't have any issue with them selling merch. Make your money, make as much money as you can. They'll be out there with the baby faces. Now, a good promoter will usually set them on one side and the heels on the other, and that's okay. But Scott is like, don't even go out there if you're a heel. If you're a baby face, you can go out there and mingle with the crowd, kiss babies, shake hands. But if you're a heel, don't do that, because you want to protect that. And if you're just out there it makes sense for the baby faces to be out there, hugging, kissing. Oh, hey, let me get a picture. Yeah, yeah. But you're, as a heel, you're supposed to protect yourself as a star. And if you're out there with the crowd, you're just one of the people in the crowd. And I try to live by that a lot of the time, because there are very rare instances where I've gone out there and been like, maybe either to get heat or something like that. But other than that, it is, stay in the back, do your thing. When you're done, go to the back and just wait for the show to be done. But, I, I, and it depends on where you work. Because if there's a promoter that's like, okay, y'all can go out there, I'll probably go out there and try to sell merch or try to get, some interactions. But most of the time I try to just stay to myself, and not to be rude or anything, but just to stay to myself and stay true to who I am as that person. Because the Blood Diamond Professional Wrestling persona, as well as my Hollywood Worm was me cranked up to 1,000,000, but I cranked it a little bit back down when it became a Blood Diamond. So
I'm Adrian Whispers here. He says, so show me 11 then. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to show me 11 when I ask you this question. Let's talk about August 2025 when you had the match against Lash LaFlair. Talk to me about that, amped up to 11. How did that go for you? Do you have anything you can say to Mr. Lash LaFlair?
Look, I don't know why Lash thinks he can come in here. He's our new DCW Junior Heavyweight Championship. I faced for that championship before. They said I was a little over the mark on the weight. I think that scale was a little funky, if you know what I mean. But look, when it comes to me and Lash LaFlair, we've been up and down the road together. We've tagged together. We've wrestled against each other. But when it comes to getting in the ring the next time, the story is going to be vastly different. They can put the championship on the line. They can keep it off the line. I don't really care. I just want another opportunity with Lash LaFlair so I can show the realist what the Blood Diamond represents at Diamond Championship Wrestling.
There you go. So, Rudy, go ahead.
No, you're exactly right. So back in the day, you were in character and you cranked it up to 10 or 11 or whatever. I mean, and that was before when you got to town, because when you did the towns, if you stopped to get gas, more than likely some of the people that are at that gas station or at that convenience store are going to the wrestling matches.
Right.
So, like down here in South Texas, there's a lot of small towns that Southwest Wrestling would hit, like Poteet, Pleasanton, Divine, Texas, Victoria, Corpus Christi, all these smaller communities. So wrestling was a big thing then. And so you had to be in character when you drove into town, stop to get gas or a drink or something, walk in the building. It was complete looked down upon. If I was the bad guy and you were the good guy and we walked in together, you may not have a job tomorrow, and especially if we wrestle each other, that was a big deal. And now it's not so much anymore. And I tell guys, even though fans may know, they've always known. When I was younger, I was the bell ringer guy, and so I would get to the table early before the match started, and I'd sit at the table, I guess to look important. I don't know where the bell was, and I could hear people talking. They saw Tully Blanchard at the store somewhere, or they saw Wahoo and Bob Sweetan having a beer at the local beer joint, or they saw Gino Hernandez and Ricky Morton eating at the restaurant somewhere. So fans kind of knew, but they didn't know, because then that night at the wrestling matches, they're beating the heck out of each other.
Right.
So fans have always known, but once the matches started, they didn't know.
Right.
Same as today, except now fans know more, but that doesn't mean you can't still do the deal. That doesn't mean you still can't work them.
Right.
And I believe anyway that wrestling fans are a special group of fans. I feel like they know what they're looking at, but they're telling themselves they're looking at something different.
Right.
Just to put it plain, the fans know it's bullshit, but they're fine with that. Don't insult my intelligence. Don't I've seen a lot of backlash from AEW last night. Don't put a guy's head in the fish tank and act like you're going to drown him when we know you're not going to drown him.
Yeah.
So it's up to all of us or all of you guys now to blur that line. I don't care. And someone told me, well, WWE has a TV show called something or other. I don't know what it is, but it's where they expose the back area. So what? I don't work for WWE. That's their company. I do my own stuff, and we don't do that stuff.
Right.
If you want to go to, if you get signed up with AAA and those guys, then do business the way they do business. There wouldn't be so many fans today. Now we're trying, and I if people ask me, I tell them I'm a WWE guy. Now ticket prices are going up, and fans are kind of like starting to back away.
Yeah.
So I feel now it's the independent level time to keep those tickets at family prices, create stars, and that type of deal, so that you can have bigger houses.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Adrian Whisper's just saying
What do you
the
got,
same
Scott?
thing. Adrian Whisper's saying the same thing. The sad thing nowadays is Gonzalez is from the era that myself and John Saxon are from. Nowadays, with social media, the fans do know more. They still want to believe. It's up to the Saxons and the Whispers and Gonzalez to suspend their belief, to believe exactly what we're doing.
Yep.
Real, 100%. And 100%, Adrian Whisper, you're right. So let's talk about DCW with you, man, with Mr. Alexander. So if I say the name J.D. Jenkins, does that ring a bell?
Whew, certainly does.
All right, so let's talk about JD Jenkins.
Yes.
Here's a rivalry with him, and here's your chance, man. I got a series of questions about some of the things I've looked up about you. Let's talk about your opinion on JD. Are you gonna see him again? Let's talk about it.
Well, JD, as of right now, has been, I'm not 100% sure if it's been confident from it was taking time away. At the time when Diamond
Mike
Championship
issues, man.
together, at the same time, he had been, I had just been made the new general manager of Diamond Championship Wrestling because, let's just say, I put through a stage, and one thing led to another. I got some signatures, I ran out, as they say,
Hey Walter, I can't hear you.
How about that? Is that a little bit better?
It sounds like you're in a tunnel.
Let me see.
There you go. There you go.
All right, there we go. That okay?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Became the general manager, went through basically my rules on the company, and JD did not like that. He, basically told me to pound sand as politely as I want to say that, which I tried to, of course, be like, he did MMA in Mississippi. He was actually in the top 5 of MMA in Mississippi, so he's no joke. He's one of the most dangerous men in any sport he gets into. Which some people still tell me today that was kind of foolish of you to get ahead of yourself with him. But all the power, all the the future for the company was in my hand. And yeah, me and JD went down the road a little bit, and it culminated in me getting put through the stage again with barbed wire and thumbtacks, left in a bloody heap, and no longer the general manager. I have a lot more respect and understanding for JD Jenkins, but I also have a lot more understanding for wrestling. So if JD ever does come back to Diamond Championship Wrestling, I would like to run it back again, and it won't be a cowardly general manager like it was last time. It will be the Blood Diamond of professional wrestling.
All right. So you're also dealing with the CEO of Brent Ladner, huh?
Yes, Brent Ladner. Brent Ladner is one of my. After all was said and done, we were friends. Then the power went to my head. We were not friends, and then I kind of came out on the other side of getting put through the stage, and I was like, "Hey, so, let's talk." So we conversated about it. Brent Ladner has been one of my closest friends since 2018. He's actually the sole owner of Diamond Championship Wrestling. He and I have been up and down the road for many different promotions. He actually himself was, when he started in 2018, 2019, he was a referee. He did that for a little while. He worked with a few other companies before co-owning Diamond Championship Wrestling, and then now eventually owning it. And I was mentioning some of the people that have fostered kids before. Him and his wife have fostered a couple of kids and have seen them on to, better futures than what they had been going through. And, they besides the work that Brent has done for the company, he outside of the company is what you see is what you get. There is no mask for Brent Ladner. Brent Ladner is the man.
Rudy.
When I contacted him about doing the podcast, one of the first things he said was, am I going to be myself or am I going to be my character? And nowadays people kind of know, so either one worked for me. I mean, as long as you're able to draw tickets, that should be the important thing for all of us,
Right.
What do you see going forward for the rest of 2025 and into 2026?
Well, rest of 2025, going to be at Diamond Championship Wrestling. I'm currently in a best of 5 series with a gentleman by the name of Thaddeus Takeover Collins. Just this past Saturday, I got the 2-1 advantage over him, and we've got 2 more matches coming up. One of those matches, well, we might have 2 more matches. I got to see about this upcoming one, which maybe we won't even go to the next show, because if by some miracle, by some grace and mercy, that he's able to beat me and make it 2-2, we're going to be going to All Sales Final, one of our pay-per-views, on Black Friday for the best of 5. Whoever wins that is the best of 5, if we make it there in the first place. And then we have 2 more dates for Diamond Championship Wrestling in December. As for 2026, looking to get my schedule a little bit more booked up with different dates outside of Diamond Championship Wrestling, because this year for me has been kind of trying to build myself in, like you said, in one area, to hopefully prepare myself to go to other areas, because I want to get a feeling of stuff at home before I go out there, because I've been to a few other shows outside of my area. I've been in Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, but I'm looking to go hopefully Texas, Tennessee, the Carolinas, just wherever I can make a name for myself at.
So who's one of the toughest son of a bitches you ever?
Good.
Ooh, there's a list. JD Jenkins, Zane Stevens, Lucha Lacora, guy in a couple of people right now in Diamond Championship Wrestling, Bus Albinelli, Donald Blake, both of them together. They're a tag team known as the Congregation. They have their manager, the Bishop, who is a tall, big guy. Lash, we talked about him earlier. As much as I want to get my hands back on him in the ring, he is no slouch when it comes to what he does in the ring. He is in that junior to light heavyweight, but he hits like a truck. Steve O'Malley, I've wrestled him before. Another guy who hits like a truck. A lot of people I have faced right now or this past year in Diamond Championship Wrestling. Diamond's a really interesting group of people that don't base your first opinion off your first glance of them, because they will come out and shock you. Because like we have one of our wrestlers, his name is The Kid, and dude, he hit me so hard one time, my ears were ringing. I thought I had tinnitus. I was like, holy cow. And it finally came back. I was like, good Lord. He's gained some mass since I first wrestled him too. So he's only going to get tougher.
So I asked this question. You named 2 guys that I've seen this Saturday. I seen Lucha Lacora.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen Zane Stevens. And I want to ask you a question. I want to give you a choice. You can pick one of those guys. And I need you to cut a promo and trash talk one of those guys, so I can give it to Adrian Whisper, so we can I'm the pod guy. I stir the pot.
Okay.
If you have anything to say to one of those guys, maybe you don't. But do you think you have anything to say to one of those? And who would it be, and what would you say?
Well, look, when it comes to Lucha Lacora, the record shows, if you check out my YouTube on WoW Media, the record shows that it's not been in my favor. It's quite literally 0 to 5 times I've stepped in the ring with Lucha Lacora. But that's the one thing about me, about the Blood Diamond, about Walter Alexander, is I don't know when to quit. So I tell you what, whoever stirs the pot, whoever gets this to him, if it gets to him at all, maybe he'll hear it and he don't want to hear it, because he knows I'm much more different than when we last met. Is that if I step in the ring with Lucha Lacora, the outcome is going to be finally 1 to 5, because I know I can beat him. I know what I can do to beat him. And when it comes to it, it doesn't matter if it's in Panama City, Mobile, Alabama, Biloxi, Mississippi. We can go up and down the road and do it again, because it won't be the same as last time. Because guess what? He can bring his best. It just won't be good enough.
I'll definitely cut that and paste that to him. I'm sure he'd love to hear that.
Uh,
Rudy,
That area of the country has some very good talent. Do you know? I know Zane Stevens. I've known him for a while. Do you know Justin Overstreet?
I
yes.
do. Yes, I know. I've known him through Zane Stevens.
Good dude. Good dude. Do you know Ray Fury?
Yes, I know. I know Ray. I've known Ray a little bit through both Lucha as well as like from previous like interactions with him because he also used to wrestle at Diamond as well.
Ain't no way.
Really?
Ain't
Yeah,
no
yeah.
way.
I have no I have no idea why Ray isn't part of AEW or AAA or some NXT. Somebody. I have a ton of respect for him. Very good talent. I just saw him a few months ago in St. Augustine at a River City Con, and he had his table right next to us. And instead of signing autographs and signing pictures and stuff, we just talked, man. Very good kid. Have you ever had any matches with him?
Uh, I've never, I've never had a match with him. I would like to. I'd like that opportunity one day. Um, but I've watched him. One of his moments, actually for Diamond, was it was a match between Lucha Lacora and one of our other guys that used to wrestle for us named Mac Daddy Duds, and it was a steel cage match in this little. Well, it's not little. It's a big. Essentially, it's a big pyramid-looking building called the Temple, and it's in Mobile, Alabama. And Ray Fury froggy elbowed off the top of that cage or that steel cage onto it was I think it was Lucha Duds, Wes Warren, and somebody else, and just took out everyone. And that was a moment to behold. And actually, now that I think about it, I've been in a match with Ray Fury, but I didn't wrestle him because it was a it was essentially a Royal Rumble. I got in there, as a fish out of water, definitely out of water. Took a nice froggy elbow right to the sternum from him. So that was my first interaction with him.
Nice, nice, nice. So, man, you're a social media manager. You've jack of all trades, man. So, what is one of the favorite things that you love to do in the business of professional wrestling, except besides wrestling? What is another one of the things?
Um, I really enjoy video editing. I like so right now I'm actually working for a company up in Tennessee, under I don't know if you gentlemen know Mr. Greg Anthony, Golden Boy Greg Anthony. Um, he works up for Pro Wrestling Mid South in Dyersburg, Tennessee. I'm actually helping produce his television episodes up there so we can get them released. And the one thing I've done it for myself and I've done it for other companies is that taking the footage, splitting it up how I need it to be, putting camera shot to camera shot, commentary over everything. It's fun to do for me. I know some people. I know, like at Diamond, we have television. I know Brent, who does the television episodes. He's like, "Oh my God, this takes forever," and I'm like, I'm just over here, just like this is this is soothing for me. This is my therapy for the for the matches.
Right.
Um, but I also like doing articles. I've written many articles uh, on the page that I've helped run called Wow Media, and formerly Wrestling Wow. And I've written many articles about different pages and wrestlers, and sometimes I throw curveballs like dream matches, or um, just try to write what I would think people would want to see.
Okay. Thank you, Rudy.
That editing part, I've tried to do that. I use I use CapCut, and man, that's a pain in the I mean, tell everybody about your editing service and what you offer, and if you offer to other people out there, let them know.
Okay. Um, well, I'm always reasonable on anything to do with pricing. Whatever you need. If you just need me to edit videos together, I can do that. If you want me to do commentary or want me to get somebody to do commentary, I can do that. If you need me to do anything along that line of just trying to get stuff, if you want me to get footage, I can get with somebody to try to do that. If you have the footage already available, send it to me, and I can edit it through there. Anything to do with, like I said, making episodic videos, or if you just want, a big, essentially like a premium live event kind of episode, or maybe set it up. You do a show, you have 6 matches, you want 3 episodes, bam, boom, boom, I got it. Also do a little bit of graphic design. I'm not the best when it comes to it because I use Canva, but I feel like some of the flyers I have made have been really good. And I tell everybody that I work with, tell me your vision, and I will make it as close to it as I can. And if you don't like it on the first draw, I will do it as many times as I need to until it is right. Because when it comes to stuff like that, I don't want to do anything half-assed. I don't want to do anything that's like, oh, that's good enough. Because once you start getting content with good enough, it'll never be to that point that you want to reach it at.
Right. I agree.
We have a message from one of Rudy's students. Thank you very much for the experience and your stories. I enjoy listening to this podcast. With the tutelage of Coach, I will be one of the best to ever do it with coaching. I know I can. Thank you, Jalen, for coming on the show. I appreciate those comments, man. So you mentioned to me that you have worked with Tommy Dreamer, Al Snow, Jack Swagger, Chris Masters. Out of those names that I named, what one stands out as your favorite? And did you wrestle this guy, or did you just were you in the back? Were you in a show?
So a lot of the people that I named, I was in the back, and I got to learn a little bit from them. And the two that stands out, the reason I put them up there as the two is Dreamer and Al Snow, because I learned a good amount from just talking to Al Snow at 3 of the events he was at for Diamond. And I was at Al Snow's seminar that he did for one of the Diamond Championship Wrestling shows. And to be able to learn from both of those guys, who both have incredible minds for the business. Al Snow especially has like one of the most, in my opinion, underrated minds for anybody. But I've worked in this on the same shows as, like I said, Chris Masters. I did a seminar with Jack Swagger. I got to meet a bunch of people, and work with them and try to pick sometimes, and it just depends sometimes too, like, talking to people. Sometimes they get off a flight and they don't want to talk. I just step back. I go, okay, if you need anything, let me know. I got you. But most of the time I have tried, like, those are the people that I always try to go to and be like, can I just get 5 minutes of your time? If not, perfectly okay. I don't know what you've gone through today to get here, but if I can get 5 minutes of your time, pick your brain a little bit, it's a treasure trove of knowledge right there.
100%. Yep.
I agree. I've worked with Al. I've worked with Tom Pritchard. I've worked with Tommy Dreamer, Les Thatcher. I mean, that's a wealth of knowledge. And if I come across something that I'm not really too sure about, or if it's training, if it's whatever, I'll message one of those guys and they'll help me out. I mean, I've been around for a long time, and even I still look for help along the way.
Right.
But yeah, good stuff.
And that's the thing I've noticed, predominantly along the Gulf Coast, is that I've seen a lot of people, either they've come up in the business or they've got a little clout to them, and they're like, it's my way or the highway. And I don't believe that, because I have a way that I see wrestling, but you have a way that you see wrestling. They have a way that they see wrestling. I think that all the ways that we see wrestling are there to achieve one goal, and there is no wrong way to achieve that goal. There are some slower, faster. It's varying, but it's all to achieve one goal at the end of the day. And I like to take on all of that information of, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? I don't really agree with that, but I can see why you agree or why you think like that. And I try to be as open-minded when it comes to different visions and different ideas of wrestling, because I don't believe that there is a wrong way to view it.
Absolutely. I know we're coming up on an hour, and we like to keep it about an hour. So respect your time and our time. I have one last question, man, before we send it off.
Okay.
Is there a message you need to give to the DCW fans? And what would you say to those guys, the fans?
Well, I don't know if old Walter Alexander has a lot of fans, let's say. He has a lot of people that talks a lot at the shows. First of all, I'm trying to focus on the match. If y'all could be a lot quieter while I'm achieving my work in the ring, that'd be perfect. But seeing as I know you won't be able to, let me put it to you like this. Come up to the next show, November 1st. We won't even have to go to the pay-per-view. I'm going to put that down in that ring. I want to make sure that we don't go anywhere close to that pay-per-view because I've already proven myself being in Diamond Championship Wrestling for almost over 7 years. So when it comes to it, I'm looking to move forward past Thaddeus. I'm looking to go onto that pay-per-view, maybe get a title opportunity. Heck, I'm the pay-per-view myself. The whole show should just be dedicated to me. All sales final, baby. But seeing as I know the company won't do that, whatever they have in store for me, we'll find out. But whoever decides to take up that offer, decides to come to me, decides to even come up and face the old blood diamond of professional wrestling, they can bring their best. It just won't be good enough.
Jalen Stewart says, okay, you talking the talk. You be able to, I guess he's wanting to know, are you able to walk the walk? You talking that talk, are you able to walk that walk?
Oh, I can walk that walk. Ain't no worry about me walking that walk.
All right. It's been a pleasure. Rudy, do you have any last questions you need to ask Alexander?
No, but I would like to make an announcement if it's possible for our next guest next Monday. I have one of my own, Sabino Blaze. He is the Flaming Heat of Texas. He'll be on with us next week. He has a great story to tell, and he's a very good talent. And I'm not saying that because he's one of my guys, but it's just a fact. He's getting his name out there a little bit. He's starting to spread his wings. So just put it out there. Sabino Blaze next Monday.
I will have to say, I want to say this to Walter Alexander, man. I appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate you sharing your stories, your career in indie wrestling. I'm going to offer up, let's say January. Let's have you back on the show. Let's have you talking more about what's going on, what we can look forward to in 2026. That way you'll have a clearer picture.
Yes, sir.
That's for you.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Just you know how to get with me. Just let me know a good date, and if we'll see what we can do from there. Because this has been very entertaining and very informative, and Huge Pop Entertainment, the podcast, the pot stirrer over here, everything has been wonderful, and I look forward to coming back. And I look forward, hopefully, when I come back, to have some gold around my shoulder. But we'll see.
I mean, I'm going to say this right now. If you're in the area in Panama City, Fort Walton Beach on December 20th, if you're in the area and you want to ride, we can go to Panama City Beach, XIW, Extreme Impact Wrestling, Chaos in a Cage, where every belt is challenged inside a steel cage. It's a hell of an event, and I encourage anybody within driving range of Panama City to come and see that. I also have a couple announcements as well. On the 22nd, which would be Wednesday, Ryan Collins will be on the show sharing his stories, an indie guy. On the 23rd, I'm super stoked. Buff Bagwell will be on the show on Thursday. So looking forward to that. There's big things coming to the Huge Pop Entertainment. Big things are on stage right now. Walter Alexander, he talked trash to Lucha Lacora. I will cut that, paste it, and give it to him, man. And let's see what happens there. Maybe he'll come to DCW and find your ass November 1st. I don't know, man. He looked pissed off on this Saturday. And I know he's going through some things with Ray Fury, but I don't know. So again, I would advise, do not go anywhere as I play the closing song, please, guys. I want to talk to you guys off camera real quick.
Okay.
But it's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. We had up to 10 people watching at one time. That's a great thing. We have 3 hearts, 2 likes. Hey, this is what Huge Pop does. Again, we're focusing on indie wrestling, and sooner or later we'll get the word out. And I want to thank you for being this is your first podcast. And it was a fun one. I enjoyed everything. But like we say,
Oh, yes.
Huge Pop, we're Huge Pop for life.